Okay, everybody, first thing is first. Don't forget, context. Context in an opening paragraph. That's where you give background material. Events that led up to the main theme or topic of the question or the problem. And that's material that will not be in your body paragraph. I do not want a summary of your body paragraph. What is that, Eric? Get the stuff, put the stuff away, or I file it away. Because you don't want me to file it away. And quick, get off the stuff that's it. And, oh, there's me.
Is that actually? That's you.
All right, so where are we at here? So context and then thesis. Don't forget thesis, you need some kind of claim, some kind of why, something to tie your blueprint together, something that you can defend in your essay. And if you can't think of a good why, remember that can be economic, political, social. You can use those words and just show how this was political or economic gain. Try to find something specific, but if you don't, be practical. Well, let's talk about the body paragraphs. So the body paragraphs have three main elements. And I do it kind of like a short ID. So the short ID, remember we have summary, example, effect, or importance. And that importance is how you basically choose your example or your evidence. Well, here for a body paragraph, it is slightly different, but it's the same basic format. You have to add a topic sentence. You need a topic sentence. That's so, if your A is, let's say, the development of capitalism, then let's say that the Industrial Revolution led to capitalism. I'm just giving an example. And so, you need a topic sentence. It has to be there. Whoever's reading your essay, me or whomever else, has got to know what the paragraph is going to be about. More importantly, you have to know what the paragraph is going to be about. So state the topic, say how this is going to relate to your thesis. And then you need some kind of summary. And that's why did I write 12? 1 to 2 sentences, like a short ID. Just a brief explanation of what capitalism is, or whatever your topic sentence is. It could be the transportation revolution. It could be unalienable rights, whatever the question is. Brief summary, so just like a short ID. So topic sentence, now summary. But you have to explain it. You have to show that you know what it is. 1 to 2 sentences. And then you need, now it doesn't have to be in this order, but this is what you need. You need your examples or evidence. Now in a short ID, I demand 1. Here I want 2 examples. 2 examples of it. So if capitalism, 2 examples of what capitalism was. And that could be, that could be talking about Adam Smith and the market. That could be 2 distinct classes. I'm just talking about what capitalism is. Or what capitalism does. You're talking about inequalities of wealth, or the accumulation of capital, but some kind of examples or evidence of what capitalism is. If you only have 1 example, then embellish on it. Give me another sentence to explain how to explain it. And then, lastly, the effect. But what is the effect? The effect or the importance in this context is to relate it to your thesis, aka your claim or your why, your claim. The whole thing, oh, almost forgot here. This one is going to be 2 to 4 sentences, 1 to 2 sentences, 1 sentence. And that's it. You have to relate to it. What is this called? That is analysis. That is analysis, where you take one fact and you show how it relates, affects, or is affected by another fact. That's all analysis is. So that is your analysis. You relate it to your thesis. You relate it to how you're trying to answer the question. You relate it to that main topic of it. So you show how this was a factor of the Industrial Revolution, or you show how it led to the Declaration of Independence, or the Cold War, whatever it might be. How many sentences is that? I mean, at most, you could have 5 to 9 sentences, 6 to 9, that's not that much. The big thing is you have to show how it relates. Write out that you're showing how it relates to whatever the thesis is. Use the words you used in your thesis statement, because that connects everything together, that binds it. It shows that you're not just writing little separate factoids. You do that, you're in good shape. And essays are fine. And that's why I like short IDs. I can chunk it up, we can just practice the writing, add a little bit element of this, and that's all this to it. Try to get 2 pieces of information. You only have one, embellish a little bit more on it. You're in good shape. So we're only writing a 4-paragraph essay. Opening, 2-body, conclusion. And the conclusion, show what it led to. Now, it doesn't have to be in this order. If you want to do summary, then go right to the analysis, and then come back to the examples, that's perfectly fine. But this is what you have to have. You have this, and you're in good shape. Really good shape. So if you get an essay question, can you come up on your own with 2 topics to write a short idea on? And for each topic, come up with 2 examples of an action. You're in good shape. That's all an essay is. And the analysis, that's only just relating it, show how it affects it, or it is affected by your claim or what's in the essay. Can we just do it now? Can we just get it done? I bet if luck has it, there'll be 2 questions on teams. And you get to choose one of them. I don't know, just roll the dice and see sometime. Maybe. They got it, they'll be on teams. Don't worry about it. They'll be out there. They're about the Industrial Revolution. There'll be good questions. Good as in ones I think you're going to find lots of answers for. And I know, if the answer's really broad, they'll go, oh my God, how am I going to write all this? No. If it's a 4-paragraph essay, what 2 things do I know the most? That's my body paragraph. If it's a 5-paragraph, what 3 things I know the most? Sound good? All right. Conclusion, remember some kind of thing showing you prove the thesis, and then what it led to. Okay. Industrial Revolution changed society ever, changed the political system, led to democracy, led to the Civil War. I mean, there's so much. And that's an essay. When we do a DBQ, which is called a document-based question, where we get documents, it's still the basic format. Except, see these 2 pieces of evidence? They got to be from documents. You got to show how in your words, how the documents can be used as evidence to prove your point. Any questions? So let's talk about outline. Turn it over. So outline, thank you for letting me see. No, you can look at yours. I'll let you look at yours. Oh, nice. I put them in columns. I'll explain the brainstorm list in just a second. But I put them in columns. Now this is a sample. You can write on this. I don't care what you do on this. But the thing is, you're going to turn in an outline. And I want that on a separate sheet of paper so you can just hold on to this so you just have it. And I have each paragraph. I have the couple pieces of evidence and the importance of the effect, the analysis on the bottom. 1 or 2 words is all you need to put back. And I've done both. I've done, you can write out your thesis statement. If there's any sentence, you have to be prepared. That's your thesis. That is the one sentence you want to make sure you have ready to go before you ever start writing. The rest of it, I get it. It's time. You're just going to do your best writing. Hopefully, won't be too many mistakes on it, but it's going to happen. This is time essay. Thesis statement, write that out before you start writing your essay. So that's why there's room. You see it, write it out. And then you put 1 paragraph, 2 paragraphs, or if there's 3 paragraphs, another column. Another way to do it, either way works. Instead of doing columns, just make it like an outline. Thesis, your first topic, couple facts, second topic, couple facts. You've probably done both, right? Have you done columns? Have you organized an essay before? You have to organize it here. I will collect it. I'm going to collect your outline. Because I want to make sure you're organized. Not only because disorganized essays are so obvious to find, and they usually have a number of mistakes. Either they just become a jumble of words, a word salad, or you repeat yourself. That's a really common thing. But the second thing is this. After the first two we write, then we go to typing. We have to start typing every essay. And when you type, it's easier to miss stuff. It's so much easier for everybody. And so you have to have a good outline. Because you don't have a good outline, you will miss stuff when you type. Just telling you the way every single person is. And so, good outline. So you can do it two different ways. Has everyone got that? Columns, or instead of columns, you put 1, 2. And you can have, you come into class on Thursday, you can have your outline ready, separate sheet of paper. You can have your thesis statement written out, and then your either two columns or 2 facts. And then, but here's the deal. You can only for that have 1 or 2 words for the rest of your outline. Thesis statement can be written out in 1 or 2 words. You can't write out your essay in your outline. If you have more than 1 or 2 words, I'm going to walk around. We're not going to get started. If you have 1 or 2 words, I take the outline, you got to rewrite it. You just have the base facts, and that means you have to know what you mean. You can have that when you come in, but you can have your thesis statement written out and then 1 or 2 facts. Yeah.
1 or 2 words.
Yeah, each one. So the topic just 1 or 2 words.
Yeah, yeah.
The evidence 1 or 2 words. Yeah, that's it. Good question. Let me give you a couple examples. Now I made the basic outline for them. I did columns, but it was drummed into me growing up. It was drummed in to make an outline. Like this. Just drummed in to make this outline. I had a teacher that was really big into it. I'm glad he was. He was good. Mr. Wright. But columns also work too. And so here's an outline with a very important question. What is your favorite food? One thing I have to add, and I put this on there so you don't forget it. No first person personal pronouns in any writing from now on. Do not write down I think. Do not write down the United States as we. The United States is not we. It's the United States. We implies me and you who wrote it. Do not put down, this took away rights from you. No. Or this changed your life, the Industrial Revolution. It changed people of the United States. Did everyone hear what I said? No first person personal pronouns. It makes the essay weak. Don't put down I think, put down that's fact. This is what happened. This is not an essay where you have first person personal pronouns. But let's get back to this. What is your favorite food? My thesis statement. Chocolate is superior food because it tastes good while providing energy and makes people happy. What is my why? Okay, I misspelled good. I'm sorry. My why? Chocolate is superior. I'm agreeing with the statement. So the whole thing's going to come back to chocolate being the superior food. So I addressed the question. First paragraph, taste. I put down just a couple words. Just give you an example of what it looks like. Column, you just have a few things. Taste, texture, bitterness. Energy, carbos, mood alert, energy burst. Happiness, reward, feels good. I think the last one is good gift. That's all. Yeah, just 1 or 2 words. Everyone got that? That's all you can have. I don't want to take your thesis or your outline because you wrote too much. Please don't make me. I will feel bad and also be annoyed. So don't. 1 or 2 words, but you'll know what you mean, right? You'll know, hopefully you know when you write down a word what it means. If you don't, we got a lot of work to do. A lot of work. Want to see another thesis statement? Let's go all the way to the top. Now, a brainstorm list is a list of terms, as many facts as you can think of about that era. I'm not worried as much about this one because you're going to get the essay question in advance. But if you get an essay question out of the cold, you got to trigger memory. So write down as many facts as you can get down. And then those will be used as evidence and also things for your context. So what is my question? You notice I have fur, breeding, chess, kitty litter. Here's the question. Evaluate the following statement. Dogs are the best pet. And you have to agree or disagree with that statement, or agree with part, disagree with part. So what is my thesis? Because of dogs' many liabilities, cats are the superior pet due to their intelligence and independence. So I disagree with that statement, 100%. How do I prove it? And when you write something down, you got to prove it. And by the way, if you disagree with me, you're wrong, because look at these reasons. Dogs' liabilities. Dogs can't drive. Dog breath. Dogs are moochers. Dogs are always begging for food or something, right? Next fact about dogs, or about cats. Cats are intelligent. They're better cooks. Cats love chess and kitty litter. And then what's the last one? The independent cats, they love to read, they find better jobs, and do not fear rabbits. And so these are all reasons why I disagreed with that statement. Okay, this is too many words, but I want to make sure you understand that cats don't fear rabbits. Dogs clearly fear rabbits. This is science, people. Here's another thesis statement. This one's a simple thesis statement. Due to many positive attributes, cats make the best pet. Dogs make the best pet because they're intelligent, loyal, and superior artistic skills. So that is a 5-paragraph essay. Write a 4-paragraph essay. You just need 2. Everyone got what you can have then? Want to see one more? Here's a brainstorm list. How did the institution of slavery lead to racism in the United States? Although slavery was introduced to colonies by adding shortage of labor, that's my A, the ensuing class conflict called bacon throughout led with racism. Labor, bacon, racism, 1 or 2 facts for each. That's a simple. Now you can do the way I did it, or you can do columns. Labor, bacon, racism. Everybody's mind works a little bit different. Have to turn that in. If I don't get it, I won't rate it. So you have to turn in the outline. Everyone hear what I said? But you can come in with the outline on Thursday. I'll walk through and make sure, but I know you're not going to make me take it. Yeah. Yes, you turn it in the same day. So when you're done with your essay, you turn the outline, you put the outline on top, and turn it in. Yes. If you want to make a brainstorm list, you can make one. But same thing, 1 or 2 words, that's all I need. You can make a brainstorm, but you don't have to since you already have it in all. Yes, you may. Yes. You can write just 1 or 2 words, that's it. But you 1 or 2 words where you like 1 or 2 words to show you're going to answer the pieces, and then like 1 or 2 words to show the answer. Good questions. I didn't get to that. So columns or not. It's a good format. And the reason I want 1 or 2 words, it's not just so you don't write your essay in advance, but also when you actually have to do it in class, when you just get your question, you don't have time to write out a lot. So you have to practice just getting a few words down. Trust me, if you're not organized, the person reading it knows like that. They know like that. They might be nice and try to give you the benefit of the doubt. They don't know you, they will not give you the benefit. Why would they? No. Quick, go. Just stretching? Yeah. Okay. All right, let's go take your notes out. Yeah.
So we'll get the whole class period on Thursday to write this.
Not quite.
Okay.
You get 40 minutes.
Okay.
Because you can have it organized in advance, so you don't need the whole class period. I thought about only 30 and I said 40. But you should be ready.
Oh, we can see that.
Yeah, you should be ready. My guess is it should take about half hour. It takes you more than a half hour. Got a little practice to do. But it's also the first time you're writing. I'm worried about the typing. I really am. I wish, I would prefer not only because people type at different rates, and we are all at different skills typing, but also just for good stuff. Everybody, that's pretty well known. Obviously, skip stuff like that. I'm worried about that. That's why you have to have a good outline. And then I got to print them all because I hate grading on the computer screen. Where did we finish it?
Wage system and skill.
So we got this. We got this.
Yeah.
Did we get to this?
Yes.
That?
Yes.
Oh, good. All right. And this is big shift. This is the family, but this shifted society. This is an effect of the Industrial Revolution. I mean, it's a totally different world. What's the type of economics that said, no, hands off of business, but actually massive aid, hands off of competition, massive aid to business? Yeah, laissez-faire, laissez-faire, but if you want to bug, go to French, go bug Ms. Van Damme and say laissez-faire, or sorry, say laissez-faire, and her ears will explode. And then if she gets mad, say, well, Mr. Larson told me to. I'm passing the buck. So we got that. Okay, we're good. We get to this. So this whole change will be dubbed today, in about last 30 years, this terminology started to be used more and more, called the market revolution. And it's basically all the effects of the Industrial Revolution. So the new economic system, capitalism, all the new transportation that get goods, and then the finance, the banking. That is a massive effect. So the market revolution is all of this. But it all comes from the Industrial Revolution. So this is a little bit of a shift to try to put it all together. And this is actually showing the stock market crash of 1857. The panic of 1857, that picture right there. So, one thing though, with this, we have to get reactions. Because this will change society forever. That's why when I said we could not function in 1960, I'm sorry, we could not function in 1800, but by 1860 we could start to function. Because everyone's going to have to adapt. We already talked a little bit about schools. That is called the drunkard progress. And for the first time, temperance is going to become an issue. Before the Industrial Revolution, nobody cared how much you drank. You worked when you wanted to and you didn't work when you didn't want to. I'm not saying you didn't suffer, but drinking was not a big deal. But all of a sudden now, with more and more people requiring a wage, the Industrial Revolution is going to change how people think about drinking. If you have one wage to feed the family and someone is drinking, that takes a big hunk of the wage. So this has direct effect on everybody, besides the obvious issues about this addictive drug. So this is the drunkards. You can see it right here, and it's pretty graphic. So it starts out having a few drinks, having fun, arguing, but then top of the world, having fun while drinking. And then the decline happens fast. Drunkenness, poverty, robbing, suicide. And that's all that happens with drunkenness. Like I said, it goes pretty graphic. And who hurts? Who's hurt? The family at home. The first temperance movement would begin in, of course, Britain, and then the United States with the Industrial Revolution. Yeah. Sure. That came after that, the Industrial Revolution as well. Yeah, people. Sure. Yeah. It was harder to get before the Industrial Revolution. Yeah. And opium had been used for thousands of years. So, family life. One of the big shifts about this is the entire change in the family. We've already talked about some, about the whole thing about consumer and everything. But the big thing about the family is almost immediately families begin to move apart. And not that it didn't happen before, but it was pretty rare. And so the whole family would be together. And so you might have your basic family unit of a husband and wife, but then their parents would be, many times, living in their home with them. Because what else are you going to do? And then the children, et cetera, et cetera. And this idea of family life, it's going to be huge. Next, also, railroads. Railroads, because of the railroads, you could buy more goods, get goods, but it would totally change how people got married. Totally. You could go to other places and meet people. You could get away from cousins and find people who aren't related, or find people who don't know you. That could be a good thing. You might be a jerk. You go places where they don't know that. It totally changed that, how people met, how they start relationships. It totally changed it. Because if you can leave and go to different places, they happen a lot faster. And before the Industrial Revolution, people had to be established before they got married. Most people got married when they were much older, late 20s, early 30s, than what's going to be with the Industrial Revolution. They started to get married a lot younger. It would be really common to get married in the teens. Very common to get married in the teens. Very common to get married in the teens. Very common to get married very young. And this will come back to the end of the 1950s. When there would be a real push to get married young, and that's when you start seeing, especially for young girls getting married, 16, 17 became very normal. I know, that's your age. Yeah, having to start, because it's just, we get married now, we get going. And then there's no such thing as retirement. There's no such thing. All of a sudden now, you're too old to work and earn a wage, now what? That didn't exist before the Industrial Revolution. So you have to live with your family and no one wants to be a burden on their children, but that's what's going to happen. The first old age pensions will be demanded about 20 or 30 years after the Industrial Revolution. Do you know what a pension is? Did I talk about a pension here? A pension is a payment after you're retired. Usually monthly or yearly payment after you're retired. The United States has a national pension. It's not very big, but it's better than no pension. Anybody know what the national pension is? That law we passed in 1935. Yeah, Social Security. And nobody would have thought of that before the Industrial Revolution. Now, if you're too old, in fact, the saying for those who wanted it, too old to work and too young to die. What do they do now? There are some jobs that have a pension. Most jobs do not, but there are some jobs too. So when you're done working, you just continue to get paid. Most state jobs have a pension. My job has a pension. So I take slightly lower pay now, but it's called deferred wages. When I retire for the rest of my life, I will still get paid. I'll make about 60% of my wage for the rest of my life. Actually, a little bit less than that because my wife will get into my house. Yeah. And Social Security, sure. Get one. But most people don't have a pension. Most people don't have it. And Social Security is not huge. Social Security is relatively small, but the whole point is it's like a safety net. Because once you're too old to work, then what? Especially, it's very difficult for most people to save enough money to retire. To retire, on the standard of living you are now, you need about $1 million. Yeah. Yeah, police officers, firefighters, houses. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Not all. Some have gone to a different form of retirement, which is more just savings. Yeah, it's a big deal. But no one ever thought about this before. By the way, which country had the first national pension? Anyone know? The brand new German Empire was the first one. Keep the socialist. Next, more urban. That makes sense, right? That's where the jobs are. And you can see what's happening in the United States in this area. In the north, that's where most of the cities are going to be in the early Industrial Revolution. And families are becoming consumers. We mentioned this before, but think about the basic element. What kind of food do you get changed? You start getting food you never dreamed about getting. I mean, and the Industrial Revolution would change. I mean, I still remember talking to my grandma about what a big deal it was when you could start getting grapes when she was a little girl growing up. Because of the Industrial Revolution, now they can ship grapes. Grapes were like the most extravagant luxury in areas where you couldn't grow grapes. Now all of a sudden you can get them. When I was a kid, you could only get grapes for about 2 months a year. And now you get grapes anytime you go to the store. All that's an effect of the Industrial Revolution. My guess is that's going to shift and go back. Just because of the nature of the way transport's going to happen. But clothing went from having it handmade to where you could buy it. Not as good, but you could buy a lot more variety and a lot more, and then we start getting sizes. Furniture, wallpaper, they made, ever seen a house, how they make a frame for a house? That was invented in the Industrial Revolution. And it's turned out to be much better than, they call it the lynch and pin method, where they kind of stack the wood up. Really old, it made sense at the time, but it's not near as good as the balloon frame they use now. Yeah. Well, they might, if you had enough, you could afford, there would be carpenters to build it by their hand, but you pay them by their skill. Or you'd have to build it yourself, yeah. There's always been a real estate market because the land was so valuable. So you can see your realtors going back to ancient Rome. But obviously once you start getting a bigger financial system, it expanded. Because it's hard to do real estate if you can't borrow money. But once a banking system came, the real estate business is growing. So, changing family. So the family's going to change dramatically. And the biggest shift, the most important shift, is what's going to happen to women. Women are going to lose economic value. Why? I put the arrow there, but the reason why the arrow is there is this. I don't know why I didn't type it out. I was thinking about it, I must have clicked. Before the Industrial Revolution, women had to work side by side with the men. For almost everybody. They produced the goods. They were farmers. They did everything together. They all had to work together. Men and women were economically about equal before the Industrial Revolution in most families, except for upper class. So everyone got that. Women were essentially equal. And what happened? Everything shifted. Everything shifted. And this is a massive loss. And this is why I want you to add this. This is what I want you to add. Women lost status. Because they lost their importance. They lost their status. And they could feel it. Women felt this. And who gained status? Men. Men gained status. And trust me, they don't want to give that status up. Now, yes, men have higher status and more legal, political, and economic rights, but women were significantly more important economically before, and now they became more dependent upon men, which also increased the status of men and decreased the status of women. So you can see from this home right here, I mean, the man is almost kind of separate from the family. He's standing. Or the rest of the family is here. See? But he's also in charge. And women lost legal and political rights in the Industrial Revolution. It's this era that the right to vote, some women could vote in some states if they have property. That would be gone. The biggest legal issue for women would be during the Industrial Revolution. Every country that entered the Industrial Revolution within a decade, women lost almost all their legal rights once they got married. They became essentially owned by the husband, the property of a husband. So like in the 20th century, women could not get banking accounts. And I should add that men just like, oh, this is the way it always was. They didn't understand the way life was before this. And women didn't know either. And then while the husband would go out to work. Now don't forget, women went and worked too. But this we're talking about now, the changes that are happening. More and more, the husband worked. And now what is the proper role of women? Before the Industrial Revolution, women were just as important as men economically. And now they're not. And women don't like it. But men kind of like it. They don't have much in life. That's another thing. I have this. And so, it's the cult of domesticity. From whole cloth, they literally made up what women are supposed to do and what men are supposed to do. They literally just made it up. You might also see it called the cult of true womanhood. You ever got that? The cult of true womanhood. And when I mean cult, this is, so they're not saying this is, the domesticity or the domestic life. No, they're saying like, it's almost like a religious thing. It is ingrained in faith and society of the way women are supposed to be. And so, what does it say? Women should not be upset they lost status, because that is not, or women were not supposed to be working like this. Women are supposed to be different. And the example they would use, they would call middle class values. Remember we talked about middle class. You can afford some of the trappings of an upper class life, but you had to work. But in reality, this is the upper class. What did upper class women do? Because they didn't have to work. So what did they do? They ran the household. They were responsible for the care of the children. And so they took that, what upper class women did, and said, this is what all women are supposed to do. And they dubbed it middle class values, because the new middle class in the Industrial Revolution were the first ones, the first families that this affected. And it said this: women are noble, women are pure, women are special, women are different. Everyone got that? Men are rough, gritty, violent, go into the cutthroat world of business, while women are special. And therefore they got to be protected at home. And I should add, who protects them? protects them? Men. Men protect them. Whether they want it or not, men will protect them. So women can be pure and noble. If you put women in the area where men are, they will be corrupted by men. So women must be separate. And so they called it the women's sphere, and that's the home. This is from a women's magazine right here, The Sphere of Women. That women will be protected at home. And here, they'll be separate from the rest of the world. This is from a women's magazine called McCall's, I think about 1869. This new technology would allow for publication of magazines, and these magazines would be printed. Most magazines were for women, and they were sold to women and say, this is what your life is supposed to be. So the women's sphere is at home. And what are they supposed to do at home? Well, they take care of the children. They teach the morality and the values to the children at the house. Everyone got that? That is their role. Now, was it like this before? Well, a little bit, but this is being made up from whole cloth. This is literally being made up. I should have one more thing I did not put down there. What about the house? What should they do about the house? Since they're responsible for the house must be what? Clean. So add that. They got to clean the house. They got to care for the house. The man is out working. So he should really come home to a clean house and dinner prepared and the kids well behaved. In fact, they would start calling the wife like the helpmate and the husband was the captain of the house. These terms started being used after the Civil War. And this is purely made from whole cloth. And then it implied that is the only natural role for women. So everyone got that? The only natural role. And what is that role? Let's get to the first. Even before we put anything else there. That means the only natural role for a woman is to do what in the first place? The very first thing. See about it? Where are you getting that? Get married. Then serve their husband. They have to get married. Everyone got that? What about a career? What about other education? What about job out there? If a woman does anything outside of that sphere, this is an important element here. There's something wrong with it. There's something weird. There's something different. And if a woman doesn't get married, what's wrong with her? Now, what happens if a man doesn't get married? They're working too hard. If a woman doesn't get married, there's something wrong with her. And the cult of domesticity has come back with a vengeance after World War II. And that's why you start seeing women getting married as young as 16, 17. Gotta get married, gotta get married, gotta get married. So that became the role of women. How long did it take for people to start thinking this was the traditional role of women, and all women were always like that? About 1 to 2 generations. And here's the important thing. If women are responsible for teaching their daughters the proper role in society, what are they going to teach their daughters about the role of women? What is your job? What do you got to do? You got to get married. You got to have kids. You got to accept this role. And they might even tell them, you might want other options like men have. You can't do that. You got to do this. You got to do this. That is your role. And this is the thing. That means women have one avenue to success in this cultural system: marriage, home, domesticated home. And there's not that there's anything at all wrong with that. The point is, that's only one choice. How many choices do men potentially have? Many more. And that's the cult of domesticity. And it's surprising how many people will now believe that is the way women always were. They were not. Yeah. What was surprised? Well, first off, marriages were almost, and for a king, were done purely politically. You married into families, you married people that cement families. So marriages were not that strong. So it was very common. I mean, just marriage was just something you just did. Yeah. So our ideas about marriage is a relatively new thing. Even though you find areas where your marriages were very strong, but our ideas are relatively new. So this is huge. That is how. So that's where women or that's where this role for women, and we see it still all the time. When you look at any kind of media, and who's the primary caregiver for children? Or they have advertisements for cleaning the house. Who's doing most of the cleaning? The men might be screwing it up, that men could say, because I'm not really care about this kind of stuff. That's actually a way to be demeaning to women when they do that. But yeah, it's women. And men are the ones who are off in the more exciting world. And so, another corollary to this is Republican womanhood. Republican womanhood was a little bit less demeaning role where women would teach their children to be good citizens. A good citizen. A good citizen. Everyone got that? And the AP exam about 15 years ago, they had an entire essay question on Republican womanhood. And I'm still trying to figure out why you would do that to people. Because I'm not saying it's not a big issue, but no class talked about more than what I'm just telling you now. Now, the only thing is, since they grade on a curve compared to what everyone else in the country gets, everyone got the same question on Republican womanhood. And my class talked about the cult of domesticity and things like that in the Industrial Revolution. But still, what an awful question. That's the problem with standardized tests. What happened to family? What happened to children? Everyone write down children. What happened to children? More importantly, what happened to family sizes in the Industrial Revolution? Yeah, family sizes went down dramatically. Dramatically. Why? Yeah, they didn't need the kids from work anymore. You had children because they were valuable labor. You might even know their name. No, of course they love their kids, but they're different. You need, the more kids you have, the more workers you have. Now you got to go off more and more people going off to a wage. If you have kids, that eats into the wage. So family sizes dropped dramatically. Everyone got that? Family sizes dropped. I know you had a plan there. Got down. Family sizes dropped. Everyone got that? Family sizes dropped. And if family sizes are dropping, that the whole idea of having children changed. The whole idea. It goes from, I got to have kids. We're going to have kids because we need workers and that's the way it is, to, I better plan when I'm going to have kids. The idea of family planning is going to come out in the Industrial Revolution because you got to decide when and how many kids you're going to have. If you're not financially ready for a child, that can be a catastrophe for your family. And so that's a big deal. And so the first we'll talk about, there have been efforts of birth control since there have been humans, but it's going to become even more important because of the Industrial Revolution. We will obviously have to come back to that. But family size has dropped. Now, here she is teaching English, math, democracy. I like how she says women are people too. I think that's kind of clever in a very dark way. But it's all about men. Add public education. It's no coincidence that public education became more important. If you choose to have children then, they'll become even, fewer children will become even more centered in your life. You really got to care for them then. And if you care for them, don't you want them to have a better life? Ideally. So write down public education. Families are going to demand education. We talked about public education, but the Industrial Revolution would be the reason why everybody's going to get public education, every other country. And this incredible system is designed that because years ago, parents were desperately worried about their children, especially if their parents were in a position of incredibly difficult, backbreaking work, they didn't want their children to have that. And for the next 150 years, most children were better off than their parents. It's not like that now. Sorry. But it was when I was a kid. Now it's reversing. We just have a different economy now. But what else? If we like kids, don't we want to be nice to them? Gee. I wonder if there'll be a holiday. I don't know. Some kind of holiday where it becomes children's centered. I can't really think of it. Anyone think of a holiday that's going to be created in the Industrial Revolution? None of us can think of one, can we? I can think of no holiday that will be created in the Industrial Revolution for children. Oh, they might have to alter a holiday that was a 12-day drunken mess. and now they'll change it into something else. I don't know. No holiday. I can't think of any. You guys don't seem to have any. Moving on. The first police force in New York was created, permanent police force was to stop Christmas. Within 40 years, it becomes a child-centered holiday. It totally reversed. It did a 180. Yeah.
Was also like I knew and latched on to because it's like companies saw the ability of stuff.
Yeah. Second thing I was going to say. And companies would push it because they want demand. So everyone had that too. The companies in the new industrial revolution, very good, very good. They want to push Christmas because then that is a time where families who are now having children and they're deciding this is a major decision and I want to be nice to them, they'll go buy gifts. And this is going to become one of the most important bit of consumerism in American history. All of this came about in the Industrial Revolution. It was purely made from whole cloth. The important holiday for Christians was Easter, and it was not. Christmas was not an important holiday. They just made up the date. Well, there was a kind of a something came out of the Roman holiday called Saturnalia that Roman Britain had, where they would use trees, a pine tree. They also was in Germany to symbolize the end of the longest night of the year. So it was in December, and we're moving now. The days would get longer, and so they just adopted it. Yeah, snow, really pretty, and this guy was created. There had been elements of this, but Santa Claus, as all of you, if you have said Santa Claus, at what you've come in your head, came about in 1859 from a Thomas Nast cartoon. By the way, you ever heard of Charles Dickens and A Christmas Carol? He purely made up the whole story about Christmas. And all the Christmas goose and all that, just purely made it up. All of that is made up. And it's amazing how quickly people began to think this was the traditional Christmas. How soon? 1 to 2 generations. And I think it's hilarious when people today will say, if we could get back to the traditional Christmas. Do you know what the traditional Christmas was? We'd all dress up in masks and go through the streets drunk and brawling. Oh, one more thing. Does anybody know what this means? Since we're talking about traditional Christmas. Have you ever seen Xmas? Anybody know what that means? That's just Christmas. And I've heard people say, oh, they're trying to cross out Christmas. No. Christianity is a very Greek religion. That is a Greek letter. Anybody know what that Greek letter is? Chi. Chris, it's pronounced. Christmas. You know what the first symbol of Christianity was? Not a cross. Anybody know what the first symbol of Christianity was? Chiro. Most crucifixes were done on a two cross, an X. Yeah. Say it again. The star? Oh, where did that come from? Well, it was really tradition in the old celebrations to put a candle. And then, when it became more tied into Christianity, they tied that into a sword and a But they decorated with candles. Don't even think about the fire. Have a good day, everyone. You excited? The essay question is online.
Thank you.
What are we doing on Friday?
What are we doing? I don't know stuff. Oh, I'm gonna review real quick. We're gonna do like a very basic multiple choice test.
Okay, because I'm gone for speech and debate.
Yeah, a little very basic multiple choice test on Monday or Tuesday.
Okay.
And even though we're gonna be starting next unit, but it'd be like 20 questions. So just really basic. Because we're doing an essay test.
Yeah.
See ya. See you tomorrow.
See you.